Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Petrucci, and I'd like to welcome you to our Financial Concerns for Caregivers masterclass today. We'll be discussing some statistics, some way of looking for assistance for the financial costs of caregiving, and just making a recommendation to you at the very end of the presentation to help you reduce your stress, overwhelm, and burnout. So let's get started. Again, the name of our masterclass today is the cost of caregiving and navigating the financial concerns of caregivers. Like I had mentioned, I'm Elaine Petrucci. I'm the founder and owner of the Caregiver Lifeline Academy, and I am a certified neuro-linguistic trainer and hypnosis trainer as well. And I would love to help you with different programs and trainings to help you be the best caregiver that you can be. The global measure for understanding the economic cost of caregiving is financial strain. And we show that financial strain by looking at some of the statistics of the financial costs of caregiving. So caregivers of older adults older than the age of 50 had 36% more of a financial strain reported at moderate to high levels. And those caregivers in those situations typically lived at a distance from the older care recipient. The care recipient had higher caregiving burden, and they were the ones that reported themselves as the primary caregiver. 23% of caregivers who provided substantial assistance with healthcare activities such as medication management and care coordination for adults 65 and older were 23% more likely to report financial difficulty as compared to those providing some assistance at 12% and caregivers who reported no help at all at 6.7%. So significantly impaired older adults who have caregivers assisting them with their daily activities have caregivers who are most likely to suffer economic effects, because you're looking at the amount of hours of care being provided, the amount of supervision, and the cost of hiring help. Caregiving for older adult places the caregiver at financial risk over time. So we see that caregivers are mostly women who are then become part of the poverty level requiring public assistance. They have lower income later in life, and it also reduces the labor force as well as the family's net worth. Let's just define what out-of-pocket spending means. Out-of-pocket spending is really when the caregiver themselves are paying for such things as medical or pharmaceutical copays, any home modifications, any meals or transportation. And sometimes family caregivers have to really draw down their assets so that they can apply for Medicaid or any other type of public assistance. And these caregivers typically forego treatment of their own. And as we had mentioned in several of my presentations, 30% of family caregivers die before the one they're caring for because they neglect self-care and their own health or dental issues. When we look at out-of-pocket spending, it's really the caregivers who are providing care from a distance that have greater costs and greater out-of-pocket spending. And usually it's been reported that out-of-pocket medical costs were the highest cost for taking care of a loved one. And usually the statistics are that 8% of caregivers incurred more than $1,000 a year in out-of-pocket expenses. And I know that was truly evident in my life because I was paying for adult daycare for my mother twice a week for a year and a half, and those costs added up very quickly. Now we're going to just turn our attention briefly to employment-related costs related to caregiving. And really, 69% of those caregivers who were employed 35 hours a week provided either some or all of the caregiving needs to an older adult. In 2011, there were 8.7 million caregivers in the United States that worked part or full-time. And when an employee was caring for a family member, they were finding that they had to ask for accommodations to be placed in a position with less responsibility, less pay, or other accommodations like a flex schedule to come in later in the day or stay later at night. So caregiving costs to employers, especially during normal work hours, was very significant. Research has proven multiple times that if a caregiver cannot stay in the workplace, it will really jeopardize many significant things, such as their income, their job security, their retirement, savings, eventual Social Security, and overall well-being. Again, 61% of caregivers report that they have to ask for accommodations in the workplace so that they can fulfill their caregiving responsibilities. Looking on the flip side, the employer has to address each hour of work lost. And every hour of work lost really has a financial cost to the employer. And again, like I have mentioned, the employee may have to take a pay cut, may have to be assigned to a position with less responsibility. And again, just overall impact, financial impact for retirement, current earnings, which our Social Security system is based off of. Other costs to employers really include replacing an employee because the employee has to leave the workforce because of their caregiving responsibilities. you're looking at all the costs for workday interruptions, absenteeism, even presentism, which means that you're at work, but you're not really there mentally. And you're also looking at management and administrative costs for supervisors that are spending their time calculating the amount of time an employee works instead of doing their own job responsibilities. Caregiving has been estimated to cost $29 to $33 billion a year, and that has such a huge impact on businesses who require employees to be present and to carry out their responsibilities efficiently and effectively. There are also societal benefits, however, on the flip side of caregiving. And family caregiving really helps prolong the need for institutionalization in long-term care facilities, independent assisted living, and it also reduces the amount of home health care services and hospitalizations. So again, you're looking at really reducing a lot of the use of extended programs or looking at using home health services. The Congressional Budget Office in 2011 did a study and reported that there are like $234 billion of unpaid caregiving provided by family members. A lot of employees have no paid time off, and that 40% of our workforce lacks assistance for caregiving in terms of paid time off. And anyone in the bottom 25% of the wage scale really don't have access to paid time off from their employer. I would just like to share a few possible options for your family in terms of some financial assistance. Flexible workspaces have been shown to increase productivity and decreased absenteeism. These studies have not been involving caregivers yet. So studies need to be done to show if flexible work schedules for caregivers in their workplace are a benefit or not. You have family and medical leave policies, and these policies have been in place since 1993, and this allows the employee time off to 12 weeks a year of paid time off, or time off, excuse me, so that they can assist their family member. The only way an employee can have access to these family and medical leave policies is that they have to work for the company for 12 months and have 1,250 hours of active employment with the employer so that they could have access to these family and leave policies. There's just a few states who have employers provide access to mandatory paid sick leave. And caregiving and Social Security benefits have taken into account recently. They're looking at how to reimburse a caregiver for their caregiving responsibilities once they leave the workforce. So Social Security is looking at your last employment position. They're looking at the type of salary that you have and other factors that they can take into account the loss of your financial resources if you're no longer employed because you're doing caregiving. And there is such a thing as job discrimination for caregivers because employers feel that caregivers won't be responsible for showing up, that they won't be very productive and won't be able to really support the company in its goals and its mission. So all of these policies and practices have really state and national nuances that the employee or the caregiver have to really find out about and discover what is appropriate in their particular state. Some caregivers have access to paid leave, and the paid leave that the employer provides are usually for adult children taking care of parents. And in New Jersey, for example, 60% of family care claims were made by employed caregivers age 45 and older. Let's look at some of the private employer initiatives. Employers are looking at providing some flexible work hours for employees who are family caregivers. And that will hopefully increase their ability to stay at the company, either in their current or new position. It will help the company really improve productivity and lessen an employee leaving the workforce. So employers now are looking at how they can best assist their employees who are caregiving, because they are an important part and an important asset to the company. And the family member who's choosing to do caregiving is making a choice, really two choices: one, to work full-time or in a part-time position, and to care for their family member. And I applaud those family members who are providing care while still working, or paying, or caregivers who aren't necessarily being paid unless it's through other public assistance. So the Human Resource Management, the Society for Human Resource Management, found that very few employers provide some support for family caregivers in terms of elder care referral services, geriatric counseling, or elder in-home assessments. I would like to turn now to the financial assistance resources for caregivers. And many of these are state or federally mandated, and it will depend on the state that you live in. Medicaid self-directed programs will pay not a lot, probably close to minimum wage for a family member who is assisting a family member who has significant needs and needs to have a caregiver present 24/7. Some states provide a Medicaid self-directed program to support caregivers. Veterans Services also has a comprehensive caregiver assistance program that will allow caregivers to access like respite care, travel expenses, and other expenses under their guidelines. Structured family caregiving really means that the family member cannot be the primary caregiver for the person who needs assistance. Also, the same applies to the adult foster care in the homes of family members. Again, whether you can or cannot be the primary caregiver really depends on the state and the federal guidelines. We've already talked about the Family and Medical Leave Act. And again, those stipulations of being employed for 12 months and working 1,250 hours are the prerequisites for asking your employer for family and medical leave. There's also a paid caregiver program locator that you can also choose to access to see where you can find some financial assistance for the person that you're caring for. After talking about all of the financial statistics, the employer initiatives, and the financial resources, federally or state mandated, I would just like you to take a pause right now and just let your mind wander and wonder how things would be different if you could have less stress, overwhelm, and burnout from all the caregiving activities that you do every day. That you could be more present with the person that you're caring for so that you can bring them a sense of joy and wonderment in their life and increase their quality of life for both of you. And how you could stay more centered. So no matter what unmanageable situations that may occur during your caregiving activities, you can be ready for all possibilities. That you could be more confident because you would find the resources that you need, the medical resources you need, or community resources, or government resources, so that you can effectively utilize your caregiving responsibilities more productively and effectively with the person you're caring for. And I really want you to create more joy and ease while you're caregiving. I know from my past experience with caregiving with my parents, I would have loved to have had this tool available to me. I want you to start breaking those chains of caregiving so that you can do more, be more, and live more. I want you to have the best and most rewarding caregiving journey, not only for yourself, but the person that you're caring for. I'm urging you and inviting you to influence your outcome in any situation. And you can do that by learning how to manage your mind through self-hypnosis. Self-hypnosis is a gentle yet powerful tool where you can learn how to be your best self and access the resources that you have in your unconscious mind, and have your unconscious mind give you the insights and resources that you need to be the best caregiver that you can be. I'm strongly recommending that you attend this free self-hypnosis masterclass on June 2nd from 8 to 4 Mountain Standard Time. This will be the last time I will be offering it for free, and I strongly urge you to go to my website and register now at the Caregiver Lifeline Academy.com/learn-self-hypnosis and register now so that you can do more, be more, and live more. The self-hypnosis masterclass is this Friday, June 2nd from 8 to 4 Mountain Standard Time, and I'd love to see you there. I'm offering different ways that you can connect with me. You can connect with me by booking a call either on the Caregiver Lifeline Academy website. You can use my Calendly link, or you can email me at maryelaine@caregiverlifelineacademy.com. I would like you to take a breath, recognize what you're doing is so incredibly powerful, and I want you to have the best life possible. So thank you very much for attending this Caregiver Lifeline Academy presentation on navigating the financial costs of caregiving. Thank you, and see you on Friday.